Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Manveer. I am Mama Bear Stitching here on YouTube and on Instagram, and this is Flosstube number 4. So a little bit late with this Flosstube. I meant to do it last weekend, but I was just really enjoying my stitching and I did not want to put it down. I don't know, didn't feel like organizing and like writing my notes and doing all that stuff, and I kind of kept putting it off until the weekend was almost over. So I figured I would wait till next week, and yeah, I mean, you guys get to see more. I've been stitching a lot, even though I had 3 or 4 no stitching days in March due to I got sick and it was like a fever. It just did not have the mental capacity to stitch. I just kind of relaxed and caught up on TV shows or like video games. But then the days that I did stitch, they were pretty productive days. I'm at a really good spot with a couple of my stitching, so whenever I pick them up, I get a lot done. But we'll get into that when I show you my stitching. All right, so I'll start off with mentions. First person I'm going to mention is Michaela at Cinematic Stitches. She's a local stitcher to me. She's in Vancouver, and she was able to come to our last Stitchers at the library, so we were able to have a really good conversation, and she was kind enough to mention me on her last Flosstube, as well as the Stitchers at the library event that I put together. If you don't follow her, I highly recommend her videos, and she always has a segment at the end where she talks about what she's reading, watching, playing, and if you like horror stuff, she's very much into that, so I'm sure you'll get a lot of really good recommendations from her. And the next person that I will mention is Victoria from Victoria's Embroidery Art. I mentioned her last video. She was the lady that had the antique samplers that she found, and so her videos have normally been in Russian, but she's actually started to make some videos in English. So fantastic job to her. She's been doing a really good job. I hope everyone encourages her and checks out her Flosstube. She mentioned me on her last Flosstube, I believe. So yeah, and again, both these ladies, they're local to me, so I've met them in person. They're very nice. Yeah, I hope everyone goes and gives them a follow, checks out their videos. Victoria's got a lot of really interesting projects to show. She does a lot of kit stitching. Michaela does a lot of, well, she's got a pretty eclectic variety of stuff she does. You know, stuff from Witchy Stitcher, but then she's also got some samplers and then some other things. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but yeah, I highly recommend those Flosstubes if you're looking for something to watch. Okay, so this video is basically going to cover everything from March 5th to April 10th. A little bit over a month's worth of stuff. And in that time, I had 1 FO, or 1 finished object. I have 5 WIPs, 5 works in progress that I worked on, and I do have 1 crochet project. My 1 crochet project, I did pick that up as well. Like I said, I did quite a bit of work. I'm happy with the amount of progress I did, and then I also kind of changed up how I was working on everything. We'll talk about that as I pull out my WIPs. For community stuff, the only thing I want to say right off the bat is that there's no Stitchers at the library scheduled for April, just because the only Saturday that was available every time I was looking was the Saturday for the long weekend, the Easter long weekend, and I knew that people were going to be busy. I was kind of busy that long weekend, and so we discussed it at the last meeting and we decided to just skip this month and we'll do something in May. So I have booked the day. I'll tell you more about it when we get to community stuff at the end. Again, looking down at notes, yeah, I need to write things down because I constantly forget things. But I think that's it. Oh, the only thing I'm going to change up from this video as well is I'm not going to share how many times I worked on a project, because I started to do a thread a day for 2 of my projects essentially, and so it's kind of thrown off the counts of everything, and there's no point because then those 2 will have huge numbers for the times that I worked on them, but they're not having as much progress because I'm only doing a thread, maybe 2 a day. So yeah, I didn't take the time to write down how many times I worked on a project like I have in my past videos. I think that's it. We can go, yeah, let's just get into it. So first thing I'm going to show you is my finished object. This is Iron Deficient Maiden by Tusk and Cardinal. This was my impulsive and illegal new start, but it's finished now, so we can forget about that. I really like this pattern. I thought it just was so funny when I saw it, and I kind of wanted like a quick, easy, simple, you know, just project. It was a really nice distraction from all my other WIPs, which are all large. So I knocked this out in like 4 or 5 days. Started it March 4th and I finished this on March 8th. So it's, what's the best way to show this? It's not stitched as it was charted. It is charted in a variety of colors, but I chose to stitch it just with 1 floss. This is Pirate and Robin Horror. So it's a black-red gradient or variegated floss. And I stitched this on 32 even weave called Pearl by Pole Stitch Fabrics, or sorry, Pole Stitch Designs. And yeah, this was really quick, really easy. I did a few modifications. The flowers are supposed to be filled in, but because I have a variegated floss, you were gonna lose the detail of like the little cross in the middle. Same with the shield, it was supposed to be filled in, but again, you would have lost the detail of the cross. And so I opted to keep them empty to give them a bit more dimension. Otherwise, they would have just been like solid blobs. The flowers definitely would have looked like solid blobs. So I've already decided how I'm going to finish this. I have like the idea of how I want to finish it is crystal clear to me. I just need to get the materials. It's going to be a pillow finish, but I'm not in a rush to do it. Just as and when I get the materials for it, then I'll just knock it out. But yeah, I really like this. It was quick, fun, easy. I think, did I write down? So in total, it was approximately 1,174 stitches. I say approximately because obviously I didn't fill in the flowers or the shield, but I marked it off as if I did. So I guess if you were to stitch it as charted, that would be how many stitches it would be for you. Mine is obviously a little less because I didn't fill in those areas. But yeah, it, like I said, quick, easy, super fun. I really like it. This is one of those things that's like solely for me, and I don't really do that too often. I kind of, I guess I kind of unintentionally think of things like, oh, something that like the family will enjoy, or I can see myself giving it as a gift to someone. So yeah, this was just a purely for me, purely for my enjoyment, and purely because it like made me happy. So yeah, that was my one and only FO. And we'll go to the WIPs. So because I didn't do the counting of how many days I worked, or sorry, how many times I worked on something, I kind of just decided when I was writing my notes, okay, I'll show this project first. So it's not in any particular order, just in the order that I want to speak about these things. So we're gonna start off with the amazing Marie Antoinette Rose Garden Kaleidoscope by Chatelaine Designs. I'm stitching this on 32 count black linen by Zweigart. And so what I've done is I've decided to make my chatelaine my thread a day for at least this month. As you know, I was working on a part that I was not excited about working on. It was a part that I'd already previously worked on and kind of struggled through. I wasn't looking forward to doing it again. And doing the cross stitching was the easy part. It was the back stitching that was really giving me a headache. And when it occurred to me to do thread a day, it was kind of like a revelation, because I don't have many projects, there's kind of not really a reason for me to do thread a day. When I pick something up, I just work on it until I don't feel like working on it. And then I will rotate to another project. But that usually means I work on something for a couple of days before I switch. And now I guess because I have more projects than I normally would, and I want to keep this moving, but I'm also kind of roadblocked in that every time I pick this up, I feel like I'm forcing myself to put the stitches in. So yeah, it just made sense. It just like occurred to me, and then I felt so dumb for not thinking of it earlier. But if I just do a thread a day, I'll do some of the back stitching, I can put it away, it's still getting progress done. And yeah, so it felt like such a monumental task to do the back stitching until I got to the other side of it. After I was done, it was so easy and it didn't even take me that long. So what I'm going to show you is it's the side that I was working on last video. So it's this side without the back stitching. So this is the side all stitched up. There's no back stitching and there's no specialty stitches. So that's how it looks when there's nothing back stitched or nothing specialty stitched. And then this is the side where I completely finished everything. So I back stitched everything and I did the specialty stitches. There's not too many specialty stitches in this. There's just, I think it's a diamond eyelet, and it's at the top, bottom, and then that one side there. The back stitching is basically all of the gate gets back stitched, and then there's these green vines that get back stitched. I guess like now that I'm on the other side of it, it doesn't seem like it's that much, but I think it's a matter of the chart, because it's so hard to tell what is the backstitch line, what is the grid line, what is the backstitch for the gate, what is the backstitch for the vine. And I mean, I do have the color PDF that you can refer to, but it's still sometimes so hard to see. So, I mean, it looks good. I'm so happy. And again, it didn't take me that long. I think I only did this a week and I was done. And I felt like, why didn't this occur to me earlier? And so I finished the back stitching, and then I also started working along here to fill in. And so I think the next thing is going to be these two panels, which I've already done as well. So that is those two getting repeated on the side. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is, if you will notice, this top gate, the back stitching at the top scrolls are done in gold. And that was because I misread the pattern, and I accidentally did it like that. But because of the way I'd stitched it, I kind of went up one side, did the scroll, and then went down the other side. So all the threads that were used here kind of went back into here. If I was to cut it and try and do it again, it would have made so much more work than I wanted to do. And the other thing that's about this panel is that in between here, right along that, there's supposed to be one strand of back stitch in black scrolls, I guess. Obviously, because I'm stitching it on black, you would not be able to see it, so I opted to just not do it at all. And it gives it a bit of a cleaner look, which I actually don't mind. There are still going to be beads put in that area, so it'll still look nice. But yeah, so this panel I made a mistake and did the gold, but then this side, is it this side? No, sorry, this side. This side, I stitched it correctly and backstitched it with the blue thread you're supposed to. And I kind of debated whether I was going to do the gold or do the blue. And ultimately what decided the matter for me was the scroll work here also has blue in it. And I felt that if I just continued with the gold, I don't know, the flow wouldn't be as nice for the colors. So I think I've decided that the top and the bottom scrolls I'll keep gold, and then the two side ones I'll do in the blue. But yeah, so this is kind of what it's looking right now. As I said, I'm going to keep working this way. I'll do these panels and then I'll kind of do this side, after which I'll move on this side, and then I'm going to start with the back stitch right away just to get it out of the way, do this again, and then come in this way. So yeah, I will try to remember to take a picture, because I am curious to see how much progress I'll be able to do doing a thread a day. It's a lot more than I thought it would be. I honestly thought thread a day would be a bit of a hassle, like to pick something up, just do one thread and then put it away. But it is working really well for this because I think because I can get really frustrated with this piece really easily, but then if I'm at least doing one thread, it's constantly progressing. And I've spoken about this before in the other videos, but sometimes I feel like I need to work on my other projects first before I'm allowed to work on my, you know, big, beautiful, fancy chatelaine. But yeah, so that's working really well for me. We'll see in another month how much progress I get doing the thread a day. I feel like I'm talking really fast today. Okay, so the next WIP I'm going to show is the Blackwater Siren Cell by Bella Filipina Designs. We are on part 8 right now, and that means there's just one more part. It's going to be coming out, I believe, April 20th, and then after that, Sal is complete. So honestly, I'm really glad. It was a lot of work, but I'm really glad that I kept up, because now the tension is off. I have no stress, no tension when it comes to this project, because no matter what, I cannot get behind now. Even if I don't finish this part by the time part 9 comes out, in my mind, I'm still caught up and I can just slowly work on this. I've also kind of adopted a thread a day mentality with this. So when I'm able to stitch, the first thing I stitch on is my chatelaine. I'll do my one thread. If I'm feeling really motivated, I'll do 2. And then the next thing I'll pick up is the Bella Filipina Blackwater Siren Cell, and I'll work on it. But if I lose the motivation or I just don't feel like continuing to work on it, I will put it down. And so sometimes that has meant that I've only put one thread in. Again, I really love this Sal. It's really beautiful. A little bit burnt out because it's the same thing over and over again. So let's show you where I'm at. I'm going to show the full thing first, because last time I showed this, we had finished the top half of, we'd finished the top half of the third Siren, and I was waiting on the next release for the bottom half. So I'll show you the full thing, and then I'll show you closer what I did. Again, this is your warning that the Sirens are topless. I stitched them topless, so if you don't want to see that, or you have someone around that you don't want them to see, skip ahead and then continue with the other WIPs. But okay, so that is where we're at currently. They look so good. It's like really starting to look complete. So the part that I worked on last time was basically, it was on this siren and it was the bottom half. So it was her tail and then the bottom of the rocks going into the water. It was a pretty easy stitch, especially after this top half. The skin, I'm stitching 1/1 half cross, and she has a lot of skin in the top half. So this was really easy. There was a lot of block stitching, like this whole area is just black and that's it. So it was nice. It was really easy. I did take my time with it though. I did not rush through it. I guess I just kind of needed that break after the top half really burnt me out. Oh, I forgot to mention the fabric is 36 count linen called Hades Realm, and it's by Under the Sea Fabrics. So yeah, she is now complete. We've got the water and the part that we are working on currently. It's a rough fold job, but I just want to get in close to this part. So we're basically now doing this top here. And I've got 2 of the 3 like sand color, or sorry, rock color in. So I just have the very lightest shade to put on and then that's done. So again, I'm taking my time, and this is part of the reason is because I'm a little bit sick of stitching these rocks. And I have a feeling the next part is actually going to show more. I believe that some of these empty gaps are maybe going to get filled in a little bit more. So I'm not done with these rocks yet, unfortunately. But definitely every time a release has come out and I've seen that I've had to stitch more of this like brown, gray, brown, it's been a little bit of a chore. But like I said, this top part is almost done. And then the bottom half of the final siren will start getting stitched. And she's the one that's got like the tentacles, kind of has that Ursula look. So I'm looking forward to that because she'll be different than all these other ones that I've stitched. And her skin it's green. So I thought this was the kind of green siren, but she definitely looks more yellow compared to the top one. And her skin is going to be green. So looking forward to that. Again, I'm liking this Sal. I think the parts should have been split up a little bit more though. But then I'm also not sure how you would split it up more. Having like a top half, bottom half made a lot of sense. Okay, so third whip that I'm going to show is Gojo by Juststitchcrafts on Etsy. It's one of those Etsy patterns that is not the name of the pattern. It has the generic title, but if you go to Juststitchcrafts, you'll see they have a lot of anime patterns if you're interested. This one is stitched on 32 count Cosmo by Be Stitch Me, and I put in 569 stitches since the last Flosstube. So the total is now 2,783 stitches. And this is kind of my easier piece because it's a lot of fill in. So as I'm extending, then I can just kind of relax and do fill in. It is, I've pretty much gotten too close to his face now. I think around here now is when his face will start coming in. The top part is still pretty much his hair, but I'm looking forward to putting in another color besides purple and white, but still it's looking very good. The opalescent fabric works really well with this piece. This one, unfortunately, when I put it into Pattern Keeper, it's one of those ones you have to manually put in, so I can't see the total percentage of stitches because it counts all of the blank spaces as stitches. According to the pattern, I'm only like 7% done, but that's not true. But yeah, this got pulled out a little bit more than I thought I would. But I had some days where I just wanted some easy stitching. And so I just kind of did some fill in, and honestly doing the purple, extending these lines, it's not really that hard. But yeah, not much more to say on this one, just plugging away at it and enjoying it. Okay, so the next one is going to be Traditional Reminiscence by Lanarte or Lanarte. It's a kit, and it was a pattern or a design that I want to get finished by Mother's Day. That was kind of the goal. I'm unsure if I will make it. I think I might be able to finish all of the cross stitches, but I definitely will not finish the back stitching and the beading. There's not much beading. There's quite a bit of there's quite a bit of back stitching to be done, but I've kind of looked at the pattern in a bit more detail than I normally do, and I might opt out on some of it. There's no fractional stitches, so a lot of the back stitching kind of goes over a lot of other stitching, and it has that, this might not be the best word for it, but it has a bit of a sloppy look to it because the back stitching is very, like, you'll have a white thread, but now instead of it sticking to the area with the white or lighter area, it's now going over a darker area. So we'll see. I might be cutting out quite a bit of the back stitching and just leaving it as like the full crosses. I got a fair amount of work on this, because by the last time that I had done this, I had basically finished what I would call my foundation stitches. I'd reached the point where now I could work off of those foundation stitches, and that's always the slow part, is like getting in enough stitches that I can work off of them. And then after that, it's just a matter of working off them, and that part goes by really fast. So my before picture for this was only in that one area because I honestly thought I would only be staying in that one area. I did not work on this until later on in March. It was almost like the last week when I finally picked this up, and then I did way more than I thought I was going to. So I ended up moving the Q snap, and so the before picture is only from one side, but I worked on, I basically worked across it. So this is being stitched on 32 count even weave. Colorway is called Dusk, and this is by Fiber on a Whim. So again, all in that bottom. I wrongly said that this was her skirt, but after looking again at the picture, it's not her skirt. It's what's called her dupatta or a chunni. And with Indian outfits, they usually come in 3 pieces. You have your top, you have your bottom, and then you have that third piece, which is your dupatta or your chunni. And that's like a shawl that you usually kind of wear either draped around you or like covering your head. So the reason I came to that realization was because when I was in this area and I started stitching brown down here, and I couldn't understand why. And then I kind of looked at the pattern, and then I looked at the way everything was folded, and I realized like how this is coming up and then going across on this side, that's just the drape of her dupatta. But yeah, so it was this kind of, let's see, I did this medium pink, and I worked that across this way. Then I took the next darker pink and worked that across that way. And then while I was doing that, I also, like, I still need to finish her sleeve here. So I started filling in some of the brown, and then that's when I started putting the brown in here. And there is some on this side as well. But yeah, so the border is coming, the border along her dupatta is coming, and the rest of the pattern is like, you're really starting to see it now. So yeah, every time I pick this up, I make quite a bit of progress on it, because I'm just working off the stitches. So once I finish whatever color I have, I'm then moving on to the next color that's touching it, and it's just like super easy to work across like that. Okay, so the last WIP I have to show is Autumn is as Joyful by Lilas Studios. This is being worked on 40 count vanilla latte by Be Stitch Me, and this is the linen fabric. So I worked on this way more than I was expecting to. Like I said, of all my WIPs, this is the one piece that does not have a goal. I want all my other WIPs finished this year. This one, I was more than happy to just kind of like, you know, motif at a time, one stitch at a time, just kind of work on it. And last time you saw it, I was working on that large medallion, which I think is the biggest medallion in this piece. And once I finished it, I just couldn't put it down. I kept going to the point where I actually took the Q-snap off. I don't have enough Q-snaps for my project, so I frequently like switch between them. I took this off the Q-snap so I wouldn't work on it. I did 2,360 stitches, and over the course of a month, that's not like a huge amount. It's a pretty significant amount, but it's not a huge amount, except that this was supposed to be the back burner project. This was something that I wasn't planning on putting so many stitches in, but I was just enjoying every single stitch. And so this went from 14.08% to 22.88%. So this is what it looks like now. And this is being stitched with the called for DMC, except for the letters. The letters I'm stitching with a Pirate and Robin floss called Dark Copper. Yeah, I'm so in love with this piece. I get why people love Quakers. They're when I started with this top part, I was enjoying it. I was like, okay, I can see why people, you know, really like it. And then I don't know why, as soon as I finished that big medallion and then I came up here, I was like, I did not want to put it down. And I could have probably just obsessively worked on this, but I kind of made myself put it down. So I came here and I did the back stitch. I was originally going to leave it to the end, but decided to just do it because I had a feeling I was going to forget. This medallion is what got finished, and this thing is really big. I only have a rough count of what it is because the outside border was done before I was kind of keeping track of my stitching. So roughly this medallion is over 1,100 stitches just in this. But once that was done, I kind of did this and then moved up here. This was so fun to do, the squirrels. Those leaves need to get backstitched, but I'll probably do that before I move over again. And this kind of center line, that is basically half of the pattern. And then now coming down here, this is the first of those like giant squirrels that go on top. And the way I've decided to work on this is kind of very loosely, it's page by page. So I started with the first page, but like this motif here, only like the very top part and then like the edge of the moth's wing was on the first page. But I decided that since it was on the first page, I had to kind of complete the motifs. I didn't want to just stitch like that much of it and then have to work on it afterwards. So basically, if it's on the first page, even if it's just a couple of stitches, I will fully finish whatever motif it is before moving on to the next side. So same with this, I think kind of like this part of the medallion is on the third page, but again, I fully finished it. And then the only kind of exception to that rule is obviously this part here where it's the giant acorn with the squirrel and like the village scene, I guess, or like the countryside scene in the middle. That I will probably chop up and just do page by page. And I did that because I know a lot of people are either they do the middle first and then move to the outside Quakers, or they do the Quaker border first and then move to the scene in the middle. but I kind of wanted to do both things at the same time. I kind of wanted to be able to do the scene and then come up and do a Quaker, or kind of fill in the motifs just as I wished, and then kind of move along that way. But yeah, like I said, I'm more than ready to just put this back in the Q-snap and work on it, but I'm going to resist a little. All right, so that's all the cross stitch whips. Basically what my day looks like now is I will pick up the chatelaine, do my thread a day. I then go to the Blackwater Siren Sal and do a thread or two, or however much I want to work on it. And then I put it down, and I've been picking up the traditional Reminiscence the traditional Reminiscence kit next, since that's the one that I kind of have a goal of when I want to finish it. That's been working pretty well, honestly. Like I said, this is kind of new to me because I was such a monogamous stitcher that it never really occurred to me to do that. I would pick one project and work on it for a couple of days before I even would switch to anything else. But this is working well for me right now. We'll see how long I'll do it. Yeah, so the only whip that I did not work on was Soul Tropica. And again, that's because it's another Bella Filipina design. It's about a mermaid, and I have more than enough with just the Sal. I don't want to add another mermaid to the mix because it just kind of feels like I'm stitching the same thing. Okay, so I guess I'll keep this in the whip section, but this is the crochet project that I'm doing. So I worked on this only twice, and that was because there were 2 days that were pretty chilly, like really rainy. It was really dreary. My lap was cold, and then I figured I would just pull this out. It would keep my lap warm, and then I could finally focus on the area that I was working on. Because the last time I worked on this, it was for Knots and Hops in February. And it was my mistake that I brought this project because I was supposed to do a new stitch that I had not learned. And I was trying to do it well, being surrounded by people, we're chit-chatting, I'm trying to like figure this out. Anyways, it did not work out too well. I did kind of manage one row, but the way you were supposed to come back was confusing me. And so when I picked it up, I looked at it again to try and kind of find my place, and I was just lost. And so I decided I was just going to rip it out. I ripped it out, and then I basically started from the beginning, which honestly worked out really well because now I can confidently say that I know this stitch. So I'll only show you part of it because it's so long and you don't need to see it. It just repeats all the way across. This top area is what I did. This is the popcorn stitch, and it came out so well. Yeah, I was a little bit worried when I had to rip it out and then relearn it, but then I think just being able to focus and rewatch the video a couple of times, it was really easy. So I don't think I mentioned this with this blanket, but the design is all just on, it's all on the front side. The back side is all, it's all just kind of plain. So like this is the top part with the popcorns, there are no popcorns. So the way when you come back and work across is different than when you're working the other way. And that was a little bit confusing until I rewatched the video a couple of times. But then I finally got it, and it was like so easy. So again, my this pattern, it's called the Celtic Throw, and it's by Bonnie Bay Crochet. This is a video off YouTube that I'm watching and doing. So at the top, now that I reached the top, I think basically we're about to repeat this section here where we're going to do a ridge. This is a knurl stitch and then another ridge. And then I think the next part is the final, it's like a large cable knit pattern that goes in the middle. And then after that, this whole thing is just going to repeat again. So I think I'm kind of almost halfway. I'm at least like a third through, definitely. And I know I said this in the last video as well, but this is, it's such a nice visual and like tactile. It's a nice tactile blanket. Like, it's even just as I'm working on it, it's just nice to hold and like touch. It's just really nice. And it's fun going between all these different stitches. And yes, I'm really happy with this. It is going to start getting warmer, so I'm not sure how much more I'm going to stitch on it. I also find that when I stitch on this, I just want to keep stitching on it. But if I do, that is when my wrist will hurt. That is when my elbow will hurt. Whereas with cross stitching, I feel like I can do that all day and nothing happens. But for some reason, this, I can't just work on to my heart's content. I kind of have to force myself to stop and take breaks the minute I start feeling like my wrist and my hand or my elbow is going to be sore. Obviously, it's probably like the motion that you do for this, but it is kind of a bummer because I feel like if I didn't have that pain, I would work on this so much more. Okay, so that's all the whips, and the last cross stitch thing that I'll show is, I think I've mentioned this in a couple, or at least one video, that I have like a shelf kind of in my entryway area, and I've kind of taken to setting up a temporary display area where I'll take out some of my cross stitches that I've finished and just kind of clip them to a foam board and just display them. So they're not framed or anything. They're still kind of just finished, but not fully finished, just to kind of bring them out. I have an artist's portfolio, I believe they're called, and I slip all my stitches in there. So the paper in there is acid free. It keeps it from getting dusty, and it's protected by from the sun. And then, but the thing is, obviously, because it's like a closed portfolio type thing, I don't really flip through it a lot to look through them. So a lot of those stitches that are finished just kind of stay there in the dark, not getting seen. And I thought this was a good idea to just kind of bring it out, display something. I don't have to worry about like framing everything because that would then take up too much space. Obviously the cost is going to be astronomical, but yeah, I can still enjoy it. Everyone else can still enjoy it. And so the last one I had up was a Shannon Christine Fancy Lady, and that was kind of the one I had up for Christmas and the winter season. And then after February, maybe? After February is when I switched it to this piece. So this is Victorian Charm by Dimensions. And so this is a kit. This was stitched on the kit fabric with all the kit floss. And I believe this is a 16 count. Yeah, I think this is a 16 count. So the other thing with this piece is this is like one of my older projects. I finished this in 2018. And that was around the time I was just getting back into stitching because I had taken like a really long break, and very slowly did I start getting back into cross stitch. This was again back when I was just working one project, but not really picking them up that much. Yeah, I do really like this piece. This was like the first house building that I'd ever stitched. And I don't know what I was thinking going into it. Because at the time I didn't have much stash. I had it, so I finished whatever I was working on, and this was there, so I just picked it up and kind of started. But I really, really enjoyed working on this. Like, I'd never worked on a house or a building before, but it went by really fast, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I do love the lighting in this for the trees, where you, like, where the lamp is glowing, you have the light, and then it kind of goes into the darkness. There was a lot of French knots in this, and I kind of don't want to bring this closer because my French knots are really terrible, especially up here, because they're only one strand French knots. There's a bunch of French knots down here, and yeah, I was taking a look and it was a little bit embarrassing. The other thing about this project is I think when I was stitching this, I started in hand, and then I think I found an old hoop frame, a plastic one, and it was like buried in all of our, like mine and my mother's old crafting stuff. And I think I'm pretty sure this is what I did. I found the frame, picked it up, and I was like, oh great, I'll use it, and I just stuck it on without cleaning it or anything. And so there are some grime marks, which you can probably see all along the edges. It's either grime marks, or I think the plastic hoop rubbed off some of the fabric, the coloring. Like I can't tell if it's grime or if it's like discolored, maybe a bit of both. But this is from the era of I didn't care that much. I was just kind of stitching as a pastime and not so much as a serious hobby, which is a little bit unfortunate because I do really like this piece. I think if I was to like tight frame it right to the edges, you wouldn't really be able to see. You can only see because of, okay, I guess I am going to bring this close. You can only see it mostly along these edges. So I have washed this. I remember I washed it when I finished it, and I actually just washed it yesterday, and I really kind of like tried to scrub the edges to see if I could get it off, and it wasn't really coming off. I actually do want to frame this because it's the only stitch I've done of something like this. I really like the colors in them. Yeah. I don't think I have any other details. Like I said, this was stitched a long time ago, and I finished it in 2018. And it's also just like really fascinating to look and see your old stitching and then just be, you know, slightly humbled about where your origins were. Okay, so that's everything cross stitch related or stitching, crafting related. If that's all you're here for, then thanks for checking the video out. Next segment is going to be like the community stuff. So if you're interested in the stitching at the library stuff, you can stick around for that. But, or actually, oh, before I send you off, that is not the last of the stitching, because the Canada Swaps item that I was to receive came in March 7th, and I haven't showed that off. So this was the piece that I got from Canada Swaps. I said that my favorite color was purple, and I really like this. Like immediately it brought a smile to my face just seeing your like favorite color. This pattern is called the Snowflake Tree by Julie Bauer. It's on 28 count even weave. I don't know the color, but it's just like a nice kind of cream fabric. And it's stitched in a DMC variegated floss number 52. And this was sent to me from Deborah. And yeah, she also sent a really cute needle minder that was like a 10 peso coin from the Dominican Republic that she had turned into a needle minder. It's really cute. I left it upstairs, unfortunately. But yeah, so super cute. The variegation is really nice. Again, my favorite color. I got a little counting pin as well here at the top. And then it's just done with another like purple fabric at the back. The back is so nicely done. I need to learn how to do this because learned what kind of learned how to do, you know, where you do the slit at the back and then you just sew it up. But the way that this is done, because it's just a fold here, so there's no kind of ugly seam that you have to cover up. I would really like to learn how to do this. So if anyone knows how to do this, can you leave like a tutorial or something? Because this would probably be a way better way to do your pillow finishes than like just the seam in the back. But yeah, so really happy with this. And I've added it to my little dough bowl of pillows that's slowly growing. All right, that's all the cross stitch stuff. And so for community stuff, the next Stitchers at the Library is going to be in May. It's May 24th. It's going to be the same time from 10:30 to 1:30 and in the same room, room 418. And again, so all the destash stuff that we have been bringing, that is going to come again. I have the bag with all the destash group, with all the destash items. From our last get together, we had a really good get together. It was probably the most people we've had at one of our get togethers. We had 10 people, I believe. And that was with 2 of our like more regular members not being able to come. So our group size is growing very slowly. We had an amazing time. We had some interesting topics come up, and yeah, it was just really enjoyable. And from the D-stash, I did actually pick up a few things. I initially didn't, and then because I have the items, I took a kind of closer look at them, and I picked up this Mill Hill. I'm kind of burning out on all my big projects, and now I'm being drawn towards the smaller projects. So I remember initially I did pick up this Mill Hill kit and then I put it down, but I've taken it now. So it has a magnet in it because you're supposed to finish it as a magnet, but I think I might just make it into like a little hanger and make it as an ornament for the tree. So I got that one, and I got this, it's Cross Stitch Gold from July 2013. And this was another thing, I looked at it and I put it down, and then obviously because I've had them here with me, I've picked it up and looked at it again. I really like all the designs in here, even though they're not normally what I stitch. But so the designs that really drew me in was this pillow, Moroccan cushion. It's got beads on it. This one, I did like this, kind of like a French country pattern. But and then the tulips at the bottom as well, I really like those. They just seem, I don't know, really colorful. I've been wanting to stitch flowers for some reason. But the project that I kind of want to do first, let's see. And I can't explain to you why. Normally I don't stitch this, but there's something really cute about this. Yeah, I can't explain it. I really want to stitch this. It says Home Sweet Home. It's in the shape of a birdhouse, and it's just very like lacy looking and kind of kitsy. And I can't tell you why. I don't know if it's the colors that are attracting me. They're like really pale pinks. There's some pale purple in the flowers. You've got the birds. Again, I don't know why this is drawing me. I keep looking at it. I think part of it is because I know it's going to be a really quick, cute finish, maybe. Maybe all my dark stitching is like making me want to stitch something like very light and happy, maybe. But yeah, so I kept that. And then my mom also picked up something. Whether she's gonna do this, I don't know. But she has, I think, slowly been influenced to maybe start something. She picked up a kit from Walmart, I think. They were selling some of their kits like on clearance. And she picked up that Dimensions Poppy kit. And then she kind of had a look through the stuff that I had brought home, and she also picked this. It's called Miniature Violets. And so the pattern is, it's a design from Hallmark. And then it says, I guess it's charted by Works of Heart. And it's a leisure arts kit, so I guess produced by them. But yeah, she was really drawn to this. Again, not sure if she'll do it. We'll see. As she is slowly being influenced to pick up the cross stitch again. Yeah, so that was what I picked up from the D-stash from Stitchers at the Library. And that was kind of it for events and community stuff for March and this beginning of April. I missed both of my Chatelaine Zooms, I think the first Zoom I was busy, and the second one I've been kind of burnt out socially a little bit. I just kind of need my quiet time. And so I think the day came, I was ready to go, but then I put some music on and was stitching before the Zoom, and then I just really kind of got into this nice happy place listening to my music, and I didn't have the energy to socialize. It was after work, I was tired, and then I just kind of took that quiet time for me. Knots and Hops was yesterday. No, not yesterday. It was on Wednesday. Unfortunately, had to miss that as well. It was another case of like I was tired after work, kind of burnt out. So yeah, I think maybe the last month was like more social than I could handle. And this month I've just had to kind of step back and take that time to just like, I don't know, kind of have like a bit of quiet. And like I said, I've really been enjoying my stitching, and I kind of don't want to, I guess I just didn't want to stop that to have to go places and do things. But I can say that the next Knots and Hops is going to be May 28th. Not sure if I can attend that yet. I'm going to wait till closer to the date before I decide. That's kind of it for community. There's not much going on in April, but that's kind of a good thing. I'll kind of keep that as a break. I do have a family wedding happening at the end of the month, and then also family from England that's going to be coming. So I've kind of got my plate full with that. I'm also not sure how that's going to affect my stitching. Obviously, it's going to go down quite a bit because I'm going to be in and out quite a bit. But yeah, we'll see. I will always find a way to stitch if I can. Okay, so the last thing to share, I don't have any haul to show. I did not buy any cross stitch from like the last month. However, I'm about to make up for that because I received an email from Cross Stitch Boutique. It's an online store only, but they've unfortunately had to close their shop down. They sent out an email explaining, you know, just due to personal reasons, they've decided to close the shop down. So that email I got kind of like the end of March, beginning of April. And so from then until April 27th, everything in their store is 60% off. And I did check it yesterday just to kind of see how much is left, because I know when I went and did my shopping, there was quite a few things sold out. They still have a few things scattered here and there. They're a shop that had a lot of like fancy ladies. So they had Bella, they had Mirabilia, they had Nora Corbett. They also had, what's the Italian designer's name? They had some of his designs or her designs, I can't remember. There was a lot of fancy ladies. And then they also have a lot of kits from like Riolis, Luca S, what's that other one called? Magic something. But yeah, so they were importing a lot of stuff from Europe, a lot of the kits from Europe. And then they also, like I had shopped there before because of the Bella Filipinas. Not only would they have the Bella Filipina patterns, but they also had the supplies that you needed. So it was a good place to go to kind of get everything that you needed. My shopping was mostly threads. I got a lot of beads as well, beads and treasures. So again, like I said, I checked, there is some things, there's not a lot. And the email said that after April 27th, they're gonna close the purchasing part, so you won't be able to purchase anything after the date. So if there's anything you need, maybe like there was quite a few Mill Hill beads still. And I think they still had DMC, everything's 60% off, and you don't need to put a code or anything. It just automatically gets applied when you add to cart. But yeah, so just check it out if you're interested. Yeah, it's unfortunate because it was one of the stores that I did kind of frequent because they did have a lot of the stuff that I particularly was looking for. But yeah, so there is a big box headed my way of little things, but still it was quite a bit. And yeah, I think that's it. So I did a lot of stitching, and like I said, I kind of don't want to stop stitching. I've been really bad with posting on my Instagram pictures because I don't want to take the time to stop and just take that picture. Yeah, so for plans, I'm just gonna keep this current rotation I have, my thread a day on the Chatelaine, working on the Blackwater Siren Sal until I don't really want to, and then I switch to another project. It's been working well. We'll see how it continues as stuff gets closer to finishes. And plans, I feel like in the next 2 months, maybe by June, I will definitely have one, if not two of these things finished. So I've been thinking about what I'll start, and instead of starting the black vintage sampler like I said I was going to, I think I'm probably going to start something smaller. What is it called? The quintessentially British at heart, that little pattern that I got. I'm kind of leaning towards that just so I can make another pillow, I think. But yeah, so that's it for this video. It's longer than I thought. I honestly thought I was not going to talk this much. I need to learn that I'm a talker. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone who's subscribing and who's constantly leaving comments. Leave a comment if you know how to do that pillow finish. Yeah, I'm interested in learning that. And then I guess I'll see you in the next video. It'll probably be around the same time as this, so kind of like the second week of May, just because of the wedding and the family coming over and all that. But yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye.